Well, thank you again for rejoining us on the show, TMI Monday. We appreciate your commitment to the show. Destiny Owobun is an economist and a statistician. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Okay. The economy, as it is today, is in a precarious situation.
Of course.
With the exchange rate just skyrocketing almost on a daily basis. We don't know when that's going to end. I heard people say, I heard people predict 1,000 naira to $1 before the end of 2021.
Yes.
Is that a possibility?
I don't share that sentiment.
Okay.
You know, if you go by the trend, if you understand why the exchange rate is falling, you may see some factors that have not been in our favor in the last 2-3 years. We just came out of a recession twice. And so these factors may play a role in making our exchange rate look very volatile at this point. But we have reason to believe that once those factors, the farther away we are from those factors like COVID-19 and those issues, the more stable the exchange rate will likely become. Why people see 1,000, because they're looking at the trend. They're trying to look at projecting at the current rate of depreciation. So, but we have managers who are looking at it. So we have a band at which we look at it. So between 500 and 1,000, I like to be conservative. So let me put it somewhere around 700. It will settle around that amount.
But that's still the highest ever seen in the history of this country.
Yes, yes.
So what do you make of, recently we saw the CBN come out hard on Aboki Fix with allegations that they were sort of manipulating the market in such a way that they sort of determines what happens. And since Aboki Fix was banned or suspended, we've seen the exchange rate on the rise consistently and continually. Yeah,
of course. I think the CBN's position was chasing after the smoke and ignoring the fire. You know, we must understand that monetary economics has a wife, so to speak, a husband, the real sector. The biggest culprit in our foreign exchange crisis is our real economy. That is unproductive. We do not export enough. Our economy is monoproduct. It's not diversified. There are big real issues that determine the foreign exchange rate. These ones are the real demons. And then we are not chasing them because they are long-term problems. You cannot solve our economic diversification problem in a week or using a fix of policies or chasing after rats. You have to develop a strategic plan to diversify Nigeria away from its current productivity, production, monoproduct, into a well-diversified economy. And the CBN does not have the total powers to do that. You see, but I don't also blame the CBN too. In a country, in an economy, a chaotic economy like ours, the CBN cannot afford to be imperiled. You know, it's supposed to be, we have what we call economic dictatorship. When the economy is not going as designed, following macroeconomic principles, then the CBN takes the tough executive, trying to fix the problem using very quick fixes. That role, by the way the CBN was designed, is supposed to be an independent arbiter of the economy. It's supposed to be independent, supposed to be not connected to political decisions. So the CBN is supposed to be a very, what is called a perfect arbitrator, looking at the economy and trying to manage financial system, that's all. But when the economy is linked heavily with political decisions, for example, we want to get the economy out of poverty, those kind of talk, the CBN begins to take the role of a dictator and then begins to chase after people, like we are seeing right now, Aboki FX, the Bureau de Change operators, the banks, commercial banks, and others. So that position, I personally think it's a reactive position. You know, the CBN by design is not designed to work like that. But when the economy is in turmoil, the fundamentals are failing, unemployment high, inflation high, foreign exchange, we are not earning enough, remittances are dropping, and things like that. Those variables put the CBN in a position where it begins to act as if it doesn't know what it is doing. Of course, I think it's reactive. You can't just sit down and do nothing. So you have to do something along the way. But like I said, we are solving a long-term problem using a short-term approach. The problems, the dysfunctions in the Nigerian economy are caused by failures of productivity. How much foreign exchange do we earn from our industrial capacity? As I speak to you, the major product we still have is oil, which generates over 90% of our foreign exchange. But that's not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to, what about manufacturing? What about agricultural processing? What about chemicals? What about computers? What about information technology? What happened to the other sectors? Why are we not generating a lot of foreign exchange from those sectors? we need to diversify our economy. We need to train people. We need to educate people. You know, we must look at a variable we are ignoring, Human Development Index. How much of the capacities do the population of 206 million Nigerians have to generate a lot of income domestically and foreign exchange? These issues are 10 to 20, 30 years issues. And I don't think just simply driving Aboki around and things like that will make them go away.
Okay, the budget has a huge deficit.
Yes.
And there are talks that, well, perhaps the way to go about it is to get loans, more loans, and more loans.
Yes.
$4 million, 710 million euros.
Yes.
We've had reactions coming forth and back on it. What are your perspectives?
Yes, for the loan thing, I made it clear before. There are many ways to solve the problem, but the loan one is the easiest and the most viable at the moment. That's why we are doing that. You know, the government can do that by increasing taxes, for instance, which is usually not pleasant when you mention such things in Nigeria. The government can also do that by reducing the cost of governance, which is not pleasant because it's a political decision. These political parties, like I told you, the cost of running the House of Assembly is about 150 billion, the National Assembly. That cost can be reduced. So, yes, there are many approaches to solving that problem, but it appears that borrowing is one that is systematic, something that you can predict easily. Okay. The other policies tend to have negative repercussions because political decisions are very powerful in determining economic decisions. Okay? Now, borrowing is the easy way out. Like I say, it's the lazy man's approach. You work to these bodies, multilateral bodies, they give you this money. So, borrowing only becomes, it's supposed to be a last resort, something when other economics fail. But it appears, my worry with this borrowing pattern is like I told you, like every other thing, borrowing is addictive. It's like taking cocaine. So when you borrow at first, I'm a businessman, I understand that. When you borrow at first, it's pleasant. When you are borrowing, it's pleasant. And then you pay back. What happens is that the debtor begins to increase the borrowing. And then it becomes a pattern. Because a pattern, you get into what we call a debt cycle, where you continue to borrow and borrow and borrow and pay. And then what happens is that your debt begins to get bigger. And then when there's a shock to your income stream, your debt has become so big that you have to now try to pay interest payments instead of looking at the capital. What is happening to Nigeria now is that our debt is becoming so huge and the interest payments is becoming so high that, and we don't have enough income to support it at the moment. So the only way to solve our infrastructural problems is to borrow. So we have become addicted to borrowing. If you notice, every six months there's a bill to go and borrow. There's a bill to go and borrow. What is happening is that I'm beginning to see a pattern of getting addicted to this debt, which is necessary, but then it seems that's the only solution we have to solve our problem. That is not the only solution we have. We have a lot of creative ways to manage our finances. Fortunately, the federal government position is focusing on borrowing because, like I said, it's the easy way out.
But if the country I'm trying to get the right economic term to use now.
Yes.
If the country is not credit worthy, do you think the borrowers will be willing to?
Yes, the country will always be credit worthy. There's something fundamentally beautiful about Nigeria. Nigeria has one of the highest abundance of natural mineral resources and others. There's no businessman all over the world who will look at Nigeria is what we call is sweet. It's a sweet economy. The only problem we have is governance problems. Nigeria will always have a lot of money to pay back our debts in potential. Like I told you, we have about 40 pure natural resources. All of them are foreign exchange earners. Okay? We have steel, we have gold, we have all these resources that these white people talk about. The reason they came to Africa in the first place. Nigeria has a lot of them. So in potential, Nigeria can eventually clear all its debts and still become a giant in the next 150 years if we get our governance right. So these people who give you these loans, they want to, it is a risk not to be a friend of Nigeria from a developmental perspective. It's a risk. Any country, a serious country that wants to develop, cannot ignore Nigeria. So the problem they have is not whether we can pay back or not. Is they know we can in potential. So they keep giving this, but they just want our government to be a little bit more organized. Okay? And then in the future, we'll be able to pay back. How can you not pay back? 206 million people, 65 million
That's
youths.
A huge market.
That's a huge market. 65 million youths between the ages of 20 and 40. That's a large labor force. And apart from that, Nigerians are one of the most educated people everywhere in the world. Anytime you see Nigerians go abroad, they are among the first 3 most educated in any country you see them. So intellectually, Nigerians are very sound. Culturally, very diverse. 400 languages, 256 ethnic groups. That makes Nigeria a superpower in potential. So these people know that. So it's good business to loan money to Nigeria, hoping that the country, the giant, will wake up from his sleep and then pay back in future.
All right, let me pause you here, Destiny.
Yes.
I would have loved to hang on and talk more, but we're out of time on this segment. Yes. We're trying to link up with a guest from Scotland to get some perspectives on some of the things he's done in promoting Nigeria and changing the narrative. Destiny, thank you again for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
It's the TMI Monday. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with you in a moment. Don't go away.